Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's another day of me talking.
And me listening. And I'm ready. I'm going to write down these films and watch them eventually.
Yeah.
Shout out to Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Yeah. Shout out to the best movie of 2019. This film is called Time. It's a documentary about a woman by the name of Sybil Richardson who goes on a multi-decade quest to release her husband from prison for something that they did when they were young.
Oh, wow.
This film is a very unique documentary in some ways, and in other ways, it fell short for me. This film is getting a lot of praise at the festival and in general, but I don't see it in the same way, I guess. The story, of course, is like amazing, but as a film, which this is a film review, there's some places where I think the film falls short and it could have enhanced the experience. Whenever I see a film with a short runtime, I get a little trepidatious as I'm entering the experience, because one of two things could happen, right? The film could be supremely dense and fit a lot in no time at all. And what it often is the case is that the film feels like there should have been more added, where it feels kind of anemic. And in this case, in the case of Time, I feel like there's parts of this film that give off a feeling to me that it was an anemic experience and not a dense one. And I'll get into that in a second. But I just want to get into the things that I found exceptional, the things that I enjoyed about the film. It's a mixture of archival footage of Sybil's journey. This was back in the early 2000s and the late 90s, so she's recording herself with a video camera when she was young, and also this documentary crew is recording her, now.
Mm-hmm.
And it adds a lot to the movie because the film is called Time, and the movie very much is about the passage of time. And seeing her age in this way is very powerful. I think that's something that film has on most mediums, is that, or just in life, is that you don't really get to see people age within the time frame of like a cut. And this movie takes advantage of that wholeheartedly, and that's something that's very cool. Another thing that I really took away from this and kept me engaged is the fact that this story is a story about a woman chasing a man. I don't know if you feel this way, but I'm sort of not tired of it, but the main devices in which romance or stories of love are shown when it comes to gender that I've noticed more is, especially with heterosexual relationships in movies, is that the man is full on chasing the woman, and on the other side, whenever the story is told from a woman's point of view, she's not exactly chasing the guy. She's sort of passive. She's shy. She's not really making the initiative to chase.
Mm-hmm.
This film and this story, this real life story that we're watching unfold in front of us, is not that at all. She is fighting for this man. She loves this man. She is going out of her way to free this man that she loves. And I found that so interesting just because of what I said, like of how much of these stories I've seen. Do you feel that way whenever you're watching a movie, or have you noticed that and you're like, oh yeah, it's just this?
It definitely sounds like it's familiar to me, to be honest.
It's just a common trope, I think. Sybil is like full on just like chasing in the same way that a man does in these stories. And I just found that to be so interesting. And even in stories about men who are away, you're assuming that she's either cheating on him or she's going to leave him at some point because she needs him around and blah, blah, blah. But she's like full on committed. Like, this is all she thinks about. This is her entire life. She has kids, who she's trying to, raise and unite them with their father and all that stuff. And it was just so interesting to watch a woman go through this. Whereas if it was a guy, it would have just been so much less interesting because it's been done to death, and it's such a like societal norm that we accept and that I've seen so many times. This film is very character based, and it's very, I mean, character is like such a weird thing to describe, real people in a documentary, but there is a character study element to it, when you're dealing with like someone who's trying to persevere through something, and also the impact that this situation has had on the children and on the family, and seeing how they react, whether it's like being bitter or aspiring to transcend the situation and become bigger than the situation and trying to uplift and change things. That was interesting, and just seeing how people deal with such a family shattering situation. But the thing about it that kind of turned me off is that you don't really get a sense of the day-to-day from Sybil's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
You get some of it. You get some of it at her work, or when she's contacting the parole people, or like asking when the judge is going to make the decision on his parole year after year and stuff. And that stuff is interesting. I loved watching that. But I think, especially the way the film ends, it doesn't delve deep enough into the loneliness in the narrative, which is something that is present in the film, but it's not there enough. And as far as the husband goes, we don't really see him at all until a good way into the film. And we're seeing that this woman she's alone and she's lonely, but we never feel her loss because we don't know what she had. And we barely get to experience what she had in the beginning, which is important as an audience member to feel, because when the film starts, we're sort of dropped into this situation. We're like, oh, that sucks. And yeah, sure, that's engaging. I was engaged, and there's moments where I cried and stuff. But as an overall like impactful movie that affected me from start to finish, this film did not do that. I think because this film is an hour and 21 minutes, that had a large impact on my experience. Lovers Rock, the first movie I reviewed, is short, but it's not a movie that is building to something or trying to get you to feel a certain way or trying to understand someone's loneliness. It's about a party. It's just a party. And it's a good movie, and it's great, and the party's awesome for the most part, but that's not time. Time, I think, needed more time to flesh out the audience's investment in the film. I think like literally another 15 minutes of just understanding the day-to-day. Like she describes the fact that she's only allowed to see her husband twice a month for 2 hours at a time. So you think about that, 2 hours twice a month, that's 4 hours a month. 4 times 12 is 48.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 48 hours a year. That's 2 days a year that you get to spend with your husband accumulatively 20 times. So you only get to spend 2 days times 20, 40 days with your husband over the course of 2 decades. Like, I want to know what that's like. I want to see, like, going all that way to the penitentiary to go see your husband, and then coming back, and like, I'm sure since now you're cuffed AF and you have a GF, I'm sure the feeling of like when you're about to say goodbye to her, how awful that feels, and you're like, damn, I'm not going to see you for a minute, and that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine her being incarcerated and you only get to see her 4 hours a month, and knowing as soon as you get there that time is running out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wanted to see that. I wanted to feel that. And when we got to a certain point in the film, I definitely was feeling emotions, but it was just, I didn't feel nearly as involved. And that's sort of like my main issue with the film. And it's not even just that. It's also some of the filmmaking choices that I do not understand. There's some shots, especially toward the end, that are shot in a Dutch angle. And I don't know why. I don't know what Dutch angles are doing in a documentary, first of all. And I don't know what Dutch angles are doing in a sequence that is supposed to make you feel cathartic and that is supposed to be a catharsis for this situation. And I don't know why in these impactful scenes that I definitely felt something for, but they're in Dutch angles and I can't feel all the way because I'm like, wait, why are we using a Dutch angle which has been used and abused by filmmakers and has gotten to such a point where it's used in bad taste and it's seen as a sign of bad taste and it's supposed to give off a feeling of unease and disorientation. Why are we feeling that in this scene of catharsis? That makes no sense. And that's annoying. Like, I don't want to think about the camera when I'm supposed to be crying over something happening in the doc. Like, sure, wild camera moves and all that stuff. That's super duper duper. Like, I love that stuff. And that's a reason why I love Euphoria. Euphoria does that supremely well. But in the scenes where you're supposed to be crying, where you're supposed to be super duper feeling for someone, like when in the beginning of one of the final episodes, like the camera isn't doing anything. It's just on her face. You see everything that she's feeling in that scene. The camera doesn't have to do anything. There's times for that. And that just like, it really bugged me. And it like really just ruined my experience. And, you know, there's other points in the film where they do things with, I'm trying my best not to spoil. There's moments where they do cool stuff, but it's not as distracting and it has more to do with the theme than like a Dutch angle. And yeah, it's just little stuff like that it just ruined my experience. But overall, I do think that you should watch this movie. And I think everyone who's listening to this or watching this, I think everyone will get something out of this movie. And I got something out of this movie too, but it just wasn't enough for me. Like halfway through the film, I was like, yeah, this movie's a 7. Then the end happened and other things happened. And as I was thinking about the film, it's just not a 7. So I'm giving...
Is it a 6?
Yeah, Time is a 6. Yeah, Time is a 6 out of 10. It's okay. Like overall, as a film, it's okay. The story is like exceptional and like very worth your time, but as a film, it just doesn't match. It doesn't match the importance of the story. Mm-hmm. So
okay.
Yeah. Do you have any questions about it?
No, not really.
Okay.
It sounds like something I'll probably try to peep, but won't be able to. Who knows? We'll see.
You should peep it. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you agree or disagree, tell us in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share with your friends. Do all the things. The Matrix video will come out in time. You just have to wait.
That's the name of the movie, Time?
Yeah. You just have to wait some time. I promise it's coming out soon. Okay? Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. I love you.
I love you.
Oh, hey.
Hey, baby girl. Okay.